Warning, the following program has been rated T for truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Oh, we think you can. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report with your host, truth warrior and mythbuster Kathleen Wells. The place where we distinguish fact from fiction, where data is used to drive points home, and where Kathleen takes the position that Democrats and black politicians have destroyed black America. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report. Now, your host, Kathleen Wells.
Welcome, Truth Warriors and Mythbusters. It's me, Kathleen Wells, host of the Naked Truth Report. I'm so excited. We have a guest this evening, and I'm excited about my guest. I reached out to her a few months ago on Twitter, and we didn't get it together, but I saw her at the rally in Beverly Hills, the Walk Away rally, or the Rally to Restore America. My guest is Shemeka Michelle. She's fantastic. She's really quite... what is the word I want to use? Passionate and also funny. She has on Twitter a response to, remember when Ayanna Pressley, the congresswoman, said that folks, something to the, I'm paraphrasing, she said something to the effect that black folks weren't being black enough. Our voice, we have laws. If you're not going to do X, Y, and Z, you're not black enough, or something like that. Something similar to what Joe Biden said. If you don't vote for Joe Biden, you ain't black. Anyway, I want to welcome my guest because she has a lot to say, she has a lot to share, and she has a lot of passion. So, welcome to the Naked Truth Report, Shemeka. I really am delighted to have you as a guest.
Thank you for having me.
Well,
I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Well, let me tell my Truth Warriors a little bit about you. You're the founder of the Naked Girls, which is spelled with a Z, and you're also involved with the Truth Walk Away campaign, rather, and you're also involved with the, what is it called? Sky something? You're the author of
Sky News. I'm a political commentator for Sky News.
And you're the author of Keep It Naked.
Mm-hmm.
And the Goddess of Controversy. So I like that. The Goddess of Controversy. So tell us, why did you decide to walk away from the Democratic Party?
Well, so after the 2016 election, I saw everybody just begin to fall apart. I did not vote for Trump in 2016 because I thought something was wrong with me because I liked him, because everyone was speaking against him. And I said, so something must be wrong with me. I knew I wasn't voting for Hillary, but I wasn't quite sold on Trump. So I voted for Jill Stein, although I had absolutely no idea who she was or, what she stood for. And then the next day, I saw just people begin to fall apart, and they were crying, and they were saying, if I find out that you didn't vote for Hillary, we're no longer friends. And the hysteria was just so hard to believe that I'm like, it must be deeper than this. And so I just started to look at policies, and I wasn't crazy. In fact, this man was actually doing what lined up more with my values. And so I had no choice but to just walk away from the Democrat Party because Republican values line up more with my own personal values and the way that I was raised. Although I had always voted Democrat.
Yeah, like me also. Trump was the first Republican I ever voted for. I will never vote Democrat again. We have voted, Black Americans have sustained the Democratic Party for 6 decades, and we've got nothing for it. In fact, we're facing zero median wealth by 2053. And I saw when you were at the Rally to Restore America, everyone check out the hashtag Walk Away. When you were at that rally, a white liberal came up to you and was trying to tell you what the story is for Black America. And you sort of schooled him. Can you elaborate on how that went down?
Yeah, these kids are just so lost, and they're so brainwashed, and they're so indoctrinated by the Democrats that they really feel like we need them to rush in with their white skin on a white horse and save us because we're poor, pitiful little Black people. And that bothers me because I am not oppressed. Regardless of what my ancestors went through, I was born in 1975, and anything I have or don't have is because of my own my own choices. No one has done anything to me, and so it just bothers me when they feel like they need to come in and rescue us because we don't need to be rescued and we don't need anyone to speak for us. And the fact that he was supporting an organization that seeks to destroy the nuclear family, and Black Lives Matter talks about affirming queers and affirming women, but they don't say anything about straight black men, which makes it come across as the only way a straight black man is useful to the Black Lives Matter organization is if he's dead. And I have an issue with any organization that seeks to destroy the nuclear family because, black fathers are important, and single parent households, we have about 67 and 70%. And we've seen that be a big issue in our communities. So to support an organization that seeks to continue to destroy black families, I can't see how anyone supports that. And it just shows that there's another motive.
Yeah, there's another motive. In fact, there was a tweet that you had on your page that you said 15 years ago you predicted in the 90s anyone born out of wedlock would become a predator. In fact, the data supports that. And Larry Elder talks about that quite a bit. Many people talk about that quite a bit, but enough people don't talk about it because a lot of folks don't understand. Many of the folks that weren't born with fathers don't understand the importance of having a father in the family.
And what bothers me, though, is when Joe Biden was saying that he was really wanting to subsidize states to build more prisons. And I have a problem with that. If you feel like, kids born in single parent households won't have a conscience, as he was saying in that whole statement. Why not build more programs instead of more prisons? And why continue to perpetuate or incentivize women to not have fathers in the home? When you give them a check and say, oh, you can't take care of your child, we'll give you a check, except you can't have this man in the home. Why would we continue to incentivize them to just keep having babies out of wedlock when we know it's an issue?
Right.
So that's the problem for me.
So that was a quote by Biden. So this is
That was a quote by Biden when he was pushing the 94 crime bill.
Oh, I see. So the issue is this: why haven't our black? You and I have. I know I heard you say that you go 4 or 5 generations, 6 generations in America. The same in my family. I can trace my family back to the 1700s. That matters. Okay, and that matters
Right.
when someone like Kamala Harris is nominated as the vice presidential candidate. That matters because it's our ancestors that built this country along with white Americans. It's our ancestors that wanted us to vote not for our own oppression. I hate that expression that say, our ancestors died for us to vote. No, our ancestors died for us to have the freedom to decide whether or not to vote. They didn't die for us to vote for our own oppression. And voting for the
Right.
Democratic Party is voting for our own oppression. So that quote was from Joe Biden. And my question is, why haven't our people, our black politicians, our black talking heads, our black preachers, our black this, that, and the other emphasize the importance of the black family, the importance of having a father in the family? Why haven't they done that?
Exactly. And why continue to push policies that will only destroy the black family? Like when you look in Democrat-run cities, how impoverished the black community is in those cities, why do we continue to put these same people in office? I don't care that, you can go and get a turkey for Thanksgiving. I don't care that that's where you can go and get a toy at Christmas or a book bag in the beginning of the year. Those things, that's crumbs. Why do we continue to accept crumbs? We put the same people in office, even on the local level, year after year after year, because we think they're for us instead of looking at exactly what's going on around us and realizing their policies are destroying the black community.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't understand. And you should have preachers, that get to sit with a large congregation. Well, not now, but they're still doing virtual church. You know, people in these positions that have a road to these large audiences, why aren't they putting that message out there? I don't understand. Instead, they continue to push the same policies that are harming us.
for decades, 6 decades of this. And so you're from North Carolina. You're out there now involved with the Walk Away campaign, going out speaking. What do you find? What do you see as the problem when you talk to our people, when you talk to us? What is the problem?
The problem is that we are led by emotions, and that emotion is really leading us to the slaughter like sheep. You know, anytime I talk to any black person that refuses to look at policy, all they can ever say to me is, the Republicans are racist, or Trump is the racist, or they don't like me, or they don't care about us. And I've never had a conversation that somebody can actually name me one policy that that Trump has put in place since he's been in office that is racist towards black people. Not one. And so people refuse to read, people refuse to do research, people refuse to look at it because, in my opinion, most black people I know are conservative in their values and their morals, but they continue to vote against their own values. And so, at some point you just say, are you stupid? Because, you know, it's one thing to be, to not know, but you have people here just saying, here, look at this, read. Black Lives Matter, their organization, they clearly put what they're about. It's in black and white. You can read it. So why aren't people reading it? And that's what I don't understand. It's not like they're hiding it. If you go to their website, they are clear about what their mission is. They are clear about what their intentions are. Yet people continue to walk around, and it bothers me because it's a genuine sentiment. Black lives matter. Black lives do matter, just as all lives matter. It's a genuine sentiment. So they took this genuine sentiment, but built this whole organization behind it that really shows black lives don't matter that much, and it bothers me because it's out there. People refuse to read or do any type of research.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wait,
that's what it really, like, I could really choke somebody until their tongue hangs out of their mouth because honestly, today, I am actually at one of my very good close friends' house. Her 15-year-old son was murdered this morning. There's not
what?
going to be a march. There's not going to be any type of protest. No one's going to burn anything down. You know why? Because he was not killed by a white police officer. And it doesn't push the narrative that we're being hunted by white people. We are losing lives in the black community because we are killing each other and no one says a word. No one cares.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So your friend's son, he was 15 and he was murdered by another black person?
He was murdered by another black person this morning.
I can't believe that. And I also, that's just heartbreaking. I saw on Twitter, I think, or Facebook, where there was a picture of four young black men, and they were all, teenagers, and they were all making gang signs. And the
Mm-hmm.
caption was, every single one of these young black boys have died,
Mm.
and not by the hands of cops. You see,
Right.
yeah.
And
What?
it bothers me. Why aren't we doing something? And I live in a Democrat run city, and the violence is horrible and it's getting worse. And I always say, these kids are being raised by single mothers that every Father's Day claim they're the mother and the father.
Right.
And really, first of all, you cannot be the mother and the father because you can only be a woman and not a woman and a man. And even if you were being the mother and the father, you're doing a horrible job at both because these kids are they're dropping out of school, they're hanging out on the corners, they're selling drugs. They are being a menace to society.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
Do I feel like prison? I just wish we had something in the community. And I think it starts with the people that are in charge, the leaders that are in charge in these cities. And again, we continue to put the same people in office, and we can see things getting worse and not better.
Yeah, these leaders, these black leaders, have failed Black America.
They have.
They failed Black America. It's clear, it's undeniable, and we know that everyone probably is familiar, or many people are probably familiar with Sweetie Pies that comes on OWN. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
and her son killed or put a hit out, on his nephew, his brother's
Right.
child. Are you familiar
Yeah,
with
I
that show,
heard about
Sweetie
that.
Pies on OWN? Can you believe? So I was talking about it on the Naked Truth, not on the Naked Truth Report, on YouTube. And I said, well, he was raised without a daddy. And
Right.
boys raised without father, and Judge Joe Brown talked about this on the show. Boys raised without father don't get that Yoda/manhood training to know the things like honor and nobility and courage and integrity and to be a man of your word. I think her son, he's an older guy, right? He's probably in his 30s or 40s. He
Yeah.
seems like he's a psychopath.
Right.
But the idea
does.
that
Yeah.
Miss Roby raised him without a dad.
Yeah. And it bothers me. I'm so sick of hearing toxic masculinity. So the men that are trying to be men, the men that would take their rightful place, are constantly insulted, and masculinity is under attack. But they are like, we need those type of men to, grab this bull by the horns, and that we need that. But instead, we are constantly saying, "Oh, toxic masculinity, toxic masculinity." No, what's happened is it's unbalanced. We have too much femininity running around here, and you can see what's coming from that.
Well, it's feminine men that are taking on a masculine role. They're the feminist movement, and I had Kimberly Ellis on the show, who is the author of the book The Invisible Family. She talked about the radical feminists. The name was Shulamith Firestone. The radical feminists want to emasculate the man.
Right.
Yeah. They want to sexualize children. You got to get her book, The Invincible Family by Kimberly Ellis. This is what radical feminists, they want to, what is the word? They want to disintegrate the traditional family because that is the hallmark to communism/Marxism/socialism. So everything that the Democratic Party is espousing is on the road to communism. This is intentional, and this is intentional. And they have, it's almost as if the black community is used as a petri dish or something. The experiment. They started with us because we were the weakest, we were the weakest because we were facing segregation. This was during the '60s, and so what happened was white liberals got involved in the civil rights movement and sort of infiltrated it, just like they infiltrate everything like Black Lives Matter, and then they twist it or bastardize it. It was a mistake for Martin Luther King to get to wed Black Americans with the Democratic Party. We are living that mistake now.
Definitely. Definitely.
And, Malcolm X used to always say that, actually, white liberals are the worst. Yeah, they're the worst. And so we're seeing the mistakes now. So the liberals, the Democrat, are now they've destroyed Black America. I don't know how we're ever going to get it back. And so now they're trying to destroy all of America. So let me ask you, what did you think about the convention? Give us your thoughts.
The
Democrat.
Democrat
Yeah.
convention?
Yeah.
It, and I've said this before, it was a series of depression infomercials. It was so sad. It was so depressing. All that, like I said, all they can do is try to stir emotion, because when it comes to policies, the Republican policies are better for not just the black community, but better for America, period. And making America strong again, making America great again, making America what we need it to be. And so they can't really fight us on that. So what they can do is tell a bunch of sad stories, oh, I lost my son, or I know someone facing economic hardship because of the corona. All they did was tell a bunch of sad stories and try to pull on the heartstrings of people, because they know, again, people will not read, people will not do research, and people like their emotions stroked.
Yeah, and
And that's what they did.
yeah, and in fact, I heard that the woman that was deported that they used, or she had someone in her family deported, was deported under Obama. But they said it was, they give the impression that it's Trump's fault. Also, I have a
Right.
girlfriend who's known me since we were teenagers. That's many decades. And she's an anesthesiologist. And she says that she's known me since we were teenagers. She says I'm
Mhm.
mentally unstable because I support Trump.
Wow.
Can you imagine? Now, she's known me forever. And so since I support Trump, I'm mentally unstable. And she's an anesthesiologist. I said, listen,
And,
Felicia, are you listening out there, Felicia? I said, you're supposed to be smart.
right. That's the thing. The people that I hear. So I have a friend who, he has his master's degree. Um, School administrator, very smart. Like, I think this is like the best man in the whole world. And he said to me, I would vote for, there's a guy we went to school with that went to prison for murdering his girlfriend. I would write him in the ballot before I voted for Trump. And I was just so heartbroken, because I'm like, this is a man that I just think is so smart, so intelligent, just bright, just perfect.
Hmm.
And my heart was so broken when he said that, because I'm like, that makes absolutely no sense at all. Like, why would you do that?
It makes you re-examine your friendships. It's very difficult.
Right.
Yeah, it makes you think, oh my God. And I look at Felicia a different way now. But I've known her since we were teenagers, since I was 15 years old. How can I not embrace that relationship? How can I not respect that friendship that has such longevity? But it's
Right.
like,
And if
oh
they
my God.
had,
She's
yeah, if they had a good argument, like if they were really willing to sit and talk and have a logical conversation, I wouldn't look at them a certain way, but they won't do it. They have no facts. It's all emotion. And I can't have a conversation with someone who is just simply emotional. Like, I need you to give me something of substance that I can chew on, that I can swallow, that I can get full with. But when you're feeding me baby food, I'm too grown. I'm too old of an adult for baby food.
okay.
Oh, I'm not doing it.
There's my music, Shemeka. Can you stay around a bit so folks can
Oh,
call in?
yeah.
Yeah, folks will call in and ask you some questions. So my Truth Warriors will call in. I'm speaking with Shemeka Michelle, who is the founder of The Naked Girls, spelled with a Z on the end, and author of Keep It Naked. She's a political commentator, and she's part of the Walk Away campaign, and she's also a goddess of controversy. Oh, isn't that a good thing? We'll be right back. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is the Naked Truth Report. I'm your host, Kathleen Wells, and we're speaking with my guest, Shemeka Michelle, who is the founder of The Naked Girls and author of Keep It Naked. She's a political commentator and part of the Walk Away movement, and also she is a goddess of controversy. So, Shemeka, I was thinking about, how do you measure or quantify intelligence? When I think about my girlfriend, the anesthesiologist, calling me crazy for supporting Trump. How do you measure intelligence? Maybe it's like there's a difference between emotional intelligence and academic intelligence. I don't know. How can our people not get it? I don't get it.
To me, intelligence is the ability to just, have a rational, logical, factual conversation, whether we agree or not. Like I'm totally fine with people disagreeing with my support for President Trump. I'm completely fine with that. What I'm not fine with is when they want to just, be condescending and I just don't understand how you could support him. I just can't believe you support him. And then I say, oh, well, why? He's just all the things that he's done, he's so racist. And I say, well, can you give me an example? Oh my God, what do you mean? Why do I have to give you an example? Can you give me one thing? It's so many. Well, if it's so many, can you give me one? Oh no, and they are just so emotional. And I'm like, if you have so many things, clearly you can give me one. So, I've been married and divorced. That's like someone saying, hey, what happened in your divorce? And I'm like, oh my God, it was so much. And they're like, well, can you tell me something? No, it was just too much. And that's what I encounter when I, try to have a reasonable conversation with people. Their emotions just overtake them. And I even noticed that with my family. Like, I have been waiting my entire life for my grandmother, who is 86, to see me on television. Mm-hmm. So I've done, Sky News Network for over a year, but she can't watch that because, it's in Australia. Mm-hmm. So she actually this week had the opportunity to turn on the TV and see me being interviewed, and she watched it, thankfully, but she didn't say one word because her dislike for Trump, I guess, overrides any type of support that she has for me. She didn't even acknowledge it.
Oh, that's
like no good job, or
right.
Next time smile a little more or smile a little less. Like nothing. I got absolutely nothing, which was very disappointing because now I'm looking at my grandmother, judging her intelligence.
That's so funny. But that's something that Dennis Prager talks about. He says the left can destroy your familiar relationships. I mean, exactly. You and your grandmother and me and my girlfriend since I was a teenager, because we ended up calling each other crazy and retarded and all that other stuff. So how do you feel like taking a call, Shemeka? Are you open to taking calls?
I'm fine with it. However you usually do it is fine with me.
Okay, so let's welcome Brett to the Naked Truth Report. Hi, Brett.
Hello, wonderfully naked Kathleen and Shemeka on the Naked
Hi.
Truth Report.
We're nakedly true, yeah.
You do all your radio shows naked.
Right.
So, what I wanted to say was for my irrational friends and family, I'm now saying to them that anyone who truly believes that Black Lives Matter will be voting for President Trump and all Republicans, because it's Antifa, Black Lives Matter, KKK, and the leftist Democrats who are the only ones who have been demanding for years that Black lives don't matter, and then start the conversation in that direction.
Yeah, definitely. The problem is when there's a low intelligence, I guess, they say, no, it's not. No, it was a switch.
Right. They think they believe in the Southern strategy.
But that's why if they're working on an emotional level, I think we have to be playing the game on the emotional level. And I pulled that. In fact, I first saw you, Shemeka, by the way, in Beverly Hills at the Walkaway March. And you were wonderful, and I'm so glad you're on the air.
Thank you.
But there, I went up to, I think it was the same fellow you went after, the Black Lives Matter white fellow.
Mm-hmm.
And presented that exactly to him. I said, if you actually care about black people, you should be on our side because we're the ones who have been fighting, for over a century. We're the ones that, took out the Confederacy and the slavery of the South. And he was just bewildered. And a few minutes later, he left.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I faced the whole there was a switch. And then when, I try to say that doesn't even make sense. That's like thinking that every Cavalier fan left and went to the Lakers just because of LeBron. Like, there were a few, I'm sure, that just love LeBron, but no, there were some that said, so long, see you later, and they stayed right where they were. Like, it doesn't make sense to just think one person, switched, and there was just this total, party switch. Like, it doesn't even make sense.
It's a myth. It's a myth. Yeah, it's a myth. It's a Southern strategy. And in fact, Dinesh D'Souza talked about that in his movie, Death of a Nation. Less than 1% switch parties during that time.
Right.
Yeah, less than 1%. Okay, thanks, Brett. Hi, Gregory. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report. You have a question for Shemeka?
And to your guest, Shemeka. I'm just wondering specifically, pardon me, for the black population, say, in Los Angeles or California, if not the nation. I must preface what I'm saying. I'm from the World War II generation. So I have parents that went through the Great Depression, and I got a lot of insight from their experiences, what that was like, because they did not have kids right away. They were separated for about 3 years during that great conflict. So that was a great sacrifice on both their parts to wait until they could be together and have continuity in their lives. Point one. Point two, we now have AB 60 in law, courtesy of Governor Brown. Driver's licenses being issued out to illegal aliens. Have you ever had any discussion with the black demographic that you encountered about this issue, and what is their opinion about this, if you had any?
Kathleen, can you? I couldn't really hear what he was.
Yeah,
asking.
he was saying, do you Shemeka's in North Carolina. Do you encounter people regarding the issue of how illegal aliens are impacting black Americans adversely?
I do try to have that conversation with people, and because the Democrats have kind of tried to sell us on acting as if anybody that's against illegal immigrants are really just racist. Right. They're really just wanting to keep the country white, and they're against all of us. A lot of people actually believe that, so they won't even look to see, and this is where I get the whole, this is my country, this is my land. Like, I can count back 6 or 7 generations, and so I don't feel like I'm not supposed to be here, although people want to, tie me to Africa. I've never been there. And they want to make it seem as if we have the same story. My ancestors' story of coming over here in ships or whatever during slavery, and those that choose to come across the border is not the same. And some people are willing to recognize that, but when they're stuck in those emotions, they really feel as if we share the same story and that, they just want to keep America white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard that.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Gregory. I hear that too. The Democrat Party keeps, with the help of the media, they keep repeating these same narratives, these false narratives, and that's all they know. So they have a superficial understanding of things. It's not a deep, it's a shallow understanding. It's like, the white man wants to keep America white.
Exactly.
And so therefore these brown folks in Latin America should be able to come here and they also say, because it was their land originally.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and they it doesn't even make sense because it's like, it doesn't, it's just too many things. It's like, there are laws, and also there was a war, and there's a treaty, and there's a such thing as sovereignty, and, it's just too many things that you have to, in other words, it's so illogical that you just can't even get into it. And
And
even
sometimes I get so upset, I'll just, like, when I'm over it and I'm tired and I'm tired of trying, I say, when they say this was their land originally, and I'm like, well, then they should have fought a little harder. Like, okay, they lost. Now what?
yeah,
It
yeah.
is, I just get so frustrated sometimes.
Well, they lost. That's the whole point.
Yeah,
Wars are won and lost. That's the whole point. You don't just give it
right.
back because you decide that you don't like the way things are going. And the other thing is that a lot of people feel like nothing has happened between the 1960s and 2020. Like nothing has
Mm,
changed since
right.
then. Things are still the same. They're stuck in the 60s and they're stuck in the 70s. And I find a lot of these Black Power folks, these Black Panther folks, they're really stuck on a narrative that is no longer applicable. They're,
It's not. Like
yeah.
when they talk about, asking for IDs is voter suppression. I'm looking for the water hoses and the dogs
Right.
because I'm thinking I've had an ID, a state issued ID since I was 15. With my permit. What do you mean asking for an ID is voter suppression? We have the ability as Black people to go out and get IDs. When you're gonna want to go buy liquor, you got to have an ID for that, don't you? Why is it such a big deal to have an ID to vote? I don't understand the rationale behind thinking that's voter suppression for us and that they're trying to take us back to the six. Like, no. We
No.
have the ability to get an ID. We are legal citizens. We live here. This is our country. We can get in our cars. Most of us have very nice cars. There are Mercedes parked outside the projects, You can get in your car and go get an ID. It's crazy.
And
Stop making them, letting them make us believe that, we would have to gallop on a horse for 50 miles, It doesn't make sense.
they're so stuck in the past. They're so stuck in the past. And they're just, like you said, emotional. It's just all emotional. I think the main thing is that they think Trump is racist. And so, therefore, but I said you have to re examine your definition and understanding of the word racism. Because I think that I know that the Democratic Party destroyed Black America. And the epitome of racism is the destruction of Black America. And
Yeah,
Democrats did that. See, they have to
right.
all they say is Trump is racist. That's all. Oh, they'll say Trump. Well, you know what he did. He didn't let those black folks rent a room, or he didn't
Hmm.
let blacks rent rooms in New York or something, apartment rooms, and then
Right,
they also bring up the Central Park Five.
right.
Those are the
Which
two
is so
things. Yeah.
crazy to me because let's just be honest. There are a lot of people that don't want to rent to welfare recipients. That's not a racist thing. Maybe it's classist a little bit, but if I own property, I would be very selective with who I wanted to stay there too. I have this thought that there are a lot of people, there are some people on welfare that take very good care of their homes, but there are some that's also abusing the system and they will punch holes in the walls and they will have, 15 dogs, pit bulls in the house, and they're not going to take care of the property. So it's not racist to not want to rent to Section 8 or welfare recipients. That's not racist to me, unless you feel like we corner the market on welfare as Black people, and we don't. There are other people that are on welfare besides Black people. So why do we accept that, oh, he wouldn't rent to welfare or Section 8 is racist? That meant he didn't rent to welfare Section 8 even to white people,
Hmm. But I think
you know?
what I usually say, and I think this was during the 70s, what I usually respond is that I think they sued his father for one, and also I think that during that era there were lawyers who there was gangs of lawyers that would file racial discrimination suits against landlords. It was sort of like a game plan that lawyers used to sort of make money, that kind of thing. It was, So I
Yeah, and
don't.
it was never proven. And with the Central Park Five,
Right.
when you go and read the article that he put in the papers or whatever, he clearly said that people who murder should get the death penalty. That jogger was not murdered. So, you know, you go back and say, you know, do you all lack reading comprehension? Because he didn't say that those guys, he mentioned the jogger, like, you know, but he was mentioning crime in New York in general.
Mm-hmm.
But he clearly said people that murder should get the death penalty.
Mm-hmm. And also the
So then that would exclude them.
Right. And also, I think the Central Park Five thing is, I've done some independent research on that, and they were involved. You know, it's a lot deeper.
Definitely.
They were involved with going around and harassing and robbing and whatever folks in Central Park Five at that time. And I can't remember all the details, but there was some involvement. And getting, you know, everything becomes a false narrative. They make it, they shape it and push a narrative that is not true. And that's what the Democrats have done to America. And that's what they've done to people who vote for them. They're shaping a false narrative. One must dig deeper to find out the details and the specifics as to why that narrative is not true. Everything they push is not true. Just like with this mail-in ballot business and the post office, right?
Right.
I don't know what's going on with the post. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've heard that, you know, this is a regular practice, that if mailboxes are not having a lot of activity, they remove them. But now, you know, it's like all of a sudden now there's, oh no, Trump is trying to rig the election. Right. And it's crazy to me. All you have to do is a little research and realize this is something that has been done before, removing mailboxes that don't get a lot of activity.
So the Democrats have been pushing false narratives since their inception, since the party became a party. But definitely for the last 6 decades, and we believed it. And we can look at the results and see that nothing good comes from what they push. Why don't we take a call right now? You have 5 minutes, David. Can you say something? I mean, you have a few minutes. Can you say something? Oh, he's still on the phone? Hi, David.
Hello.
Welcome to the Naked Truth Report.
Briefly, I heard Kamala Harris being interviewed, a clip on Stephen Colbert, who I don't watch, but I heard it on talk radio. She was asked, how could you be Joe Biden's VP knowing that you had what he had done and how you have accused him of being a racist? And she said, it's a debate, it's a debate, it's a debate. Several times she said that, and she was laughing when she was saying that. So that really shows that the left will say anything and throw out the racist card and cheapen what could be real racism just to suit their own purposes. Anyways, really enjoy your show and your guest today as well.
Okay, thank you very much, David.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I heard that too on Facebook. In other words, she's willing to say anything.
Right.
Yeah, and that's not a good thing, is it?
Not at all. But I mean, she has the nickname Heels Up Harris, so we're not really surprised.
Yes, and they should bring that up, the fact that she had an affair with a married man to get her own comeuppance politically.
Right.
How is that not immoral or amoral to do that?
It's only when it comes to morals, they only want to judge Trump's morals. No one else's morals matter. But all morals matter.
Right. All morals matter. You must have standards and values. This is why people listen, when you have a child without the father, that's immoral, folks. Get married before you have children. Anyway, Shemeka Michelle, I want to thank you for being a guest on the Naked Truth Report. I hope to see you soon. I'm going to get involved. I know you're doing something in D.C. I don't know, but I really appreciate you being on the Naked Truth Report.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go check out Shemeka Michelle's Twitter page, and it's Shemeka Michelle, SHEMA. Wait, let me see I want to make sure I'm spelling it right. I think I am spelling it right. SHEMAKA Michelle. Check her out on Twitter, and you'll be inspired because she's very passionate and she's also very funny. So thank you for joining me. And I think I'm going to pre-record a show with Diamond and Silk next week. So I'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.